Let's give all praise and glory to the God of Israel, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. This is gonna be part two and a half because I gotta get up out of here. So just try to follow along. I'm gonna try to break down the serpent and his ability, and it's a few things that I want y'all to pay attention to as I'm explaining this story with the whole Adam and Eve and the serpent and God and stuff like that. When I tell y'all that God made one hell of a creature, I really mean that. This creature called the serpent is crafty. He is cunning. And you can really see it just in this story alone. Now, it's something I want y'all to pay attention to, right? Genesis 3. I'm going to read it. Now, the serpent was more crafty than any of the wild animals the Lord God had made. He said to the woman, did God really say you must not eat from any tree in the garden? Question mark. The woman said to the serpent, we may eat fruit from the trees in the garden, but God did say you must not eat from the tree that is in the middle of the garden, and you must not touch it or you will die. The serpent responded, you will not certainly die. Okay? For God knows that when you eat from it, your eyes will be open and you will be like God, knowing good and evil. So let's take a break right there, right? Something I want y'all to notice, right? Eve said that we may not eat from the tree that's in the middle of the garden or touch it or we'll die. Let's go back to Genesis 2 and let's go to Genesis 2 and 8. Let's read it. Now the Lord God had planted a garden in the east in Eden, and there he put the man he had formed. The Lord God made all kinds of trees grow out of the ground, trees that were pleasing to the eye and good for food. In the middle of the garden were the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So as we can see right here, in the middle of the garden, there were two trees. All right. The tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil in the middle of the garden. Okay, let's keep going. 15. The Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to work it, and take care of it. And the Lord God commanded the man, you are free to eat from any tree in the garden, but you must not eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, for when you eat from it, you will certainly die. So here, God says you are free to eat from any tree in the garden, but you must not eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. For when you eat from it, you will surely die. Now, check this out. In the middle of the garden, there were two trees, the tree of life and the tree of knowledge and good and evil. God didn't mention the tree of life when he told the man, you must not eat. Right here. He said, you must not eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. He never mentioned the tree of life. I just want y'all to pay attention to this. There is something else I want y'all to pay attention to. If you all pay attention, Eve was not yet created. So when God gave this commandment to Adam, Eve was not yet created. And we find that out right here. Again, I'm going to take a pause so y'all let all this come to y'all. All right. So the question is, How did Eve know this when she was not yet created? So, my theory, this is my theory. I'm thinking one, the consciousness of Adam or the wisdom that Adam had was in Eve. So, whatever God told Adam, and God took the rib of Adam to make Eve, that consciousness carried to her. Or I'm assuming God spoke to her and that's just not mentioned in here. Those are just my two theories, right? Another thing I want y'all to pay attention to right here. So Eve saw that the fruit of the tree was good for food and pleasing to the eye and desirable for gaining wisdom. She took and ate from it and then gave some to Adam. Then both of their eyes were open and they realized that they were naked. So then they started sewing of leaves together to make a covering for themselves. So to cover up themselves being naked. Now, let me just take a break from all of this. Many of you is asking, why the hell do we want to learn about this? Because black man and black woman, this key story plays a key role to what we are witnessing today. Believe it or not. Like I told y'all before, God doesn't put shit in the book for no reason. It is not just black man and black woman, it's man and woman in general. This is why you see a lot of woman empowerment going on today because it goes all the way back to the beginning of the book. All right. Now, something I also want y'all to notice. You see right here, it says that they realized that they were naked and they sewed fig of leaves together. If we go back once again and we read, God stated that Adam and his wife, who we call Eve, were both naked and they felt no shame. So this means that uh uh they were naked, but they didn't feel embarrassed. Follow what I'm saying? They weren't aware that they were naked. Let me repeat that again. Adam and Eve were both naked and they felt no shame. This means they had no negative thought. They didn't feel no type of way that they were naked because they weren't self aware that they were naked to begin with. So if we go, we find that out right here. So Adam and Eve, they hid themselves, right, among the trees in the garden. And again, notice how God only called out to the man. Go check my Eve video. I'm going to post it in the comment section below, right? Adam replied, I heard you in the garden and I was afraid because I was naked. So remember, before he ate from the tree, Adam, he was already naked, he himself wasn't self-aware that he was naked. All right. So then God said, who told you that you were naked? Right? Then he said that the woman, and then the woman said that the serpent deceived her. Now, this is why I say that this serpent is crafty, is cunning. You see, one of the abilities with the serpent is he likes to play on God words. And I'm going to explain that later in this video how it has to do with the serpent children, right? So what I mean is he plays on God words is that he stretches the truth. So for an example, God told them that if they ate from that tree of good and evil, that they would die, right? God says right here, you will certainly die. The serpent said, "You will not certainly die." Now, here's the thing: did Adam and Eve die when they ate from the tree? No, they didn't, because it's a bigger story being told. When God said that you will certainly die, He was talking about your consciousness, and again, that's probably gonna be in part three. All right, because I feel like it's something else I wanted to mention with this stuff, but I'm trying to hurry up and get up out of here. So they didn't die right away because it has to do with your consciousness, your self awareness, knowing the difference between right and wrong, pretty much. All right. Now, here's another thing I want y'all to pay attention to. The serpent said to Eve that you will be like God, knowing good and evil. Now, if we scroll down to Genesis 3 and 21, oh, hold on. It is something I'm missing. Hold on. Check this out, right? Check this out, right? So, when Adam and Eve ate from the tree that they wasn't supposed to, and they became aware that they were naked, they started sewing fig leaves and stuff like that to make a covering for themselves, right? Now, the serpent had them believing that they would be like God, knowing good and evil. So, pretty much having this certain type of wisdom. But as you can see, they didn't have the wisdom to get animal skin like God did to clothe them. So, this is God telling the viewer, the person that's reading it, that his wisdom was still farly greater than Adam and Eve, even after they ate from the tree, because they didn't think to take garment of skin to make clothes for themselves. Now, it's something I want you to pay attention to. If we keep reading it, say right here, and the Lord God said, the man has now become like one of us, knowing good and evil. So we scroll up, the serpent said, for God knows that when you eat it, your eyes will be open. You will be like God, knowing good and evil. And if you scroll down, God says, the man has now become like one of us, knowing good and evil. Follow what I'm saying? So the serpent was telling the truth and lying at the same time. If this makes sense to you, because what he did was stretch God words. If this all making sense to y'all, again, this is probably part two and a half, or I just make a part three because it's a lot, and I feel like I'm missing a few things. So I'm trying to tell y'all, this serpent is real crafty with his words. With his words. So to explain the serpent children are pretty much the people you see on the internet. Sometimes they out in the real world, and pretty much is that they will take scriptures, right? They will take scriptures and try to bend what God is saying to fit their agenda. And that's what the New Testament is all about as well. But I got more though I want to explain to y'all though. But by far this serpent is more crafty than anything, any animal, maybe even a human, because it's something else I want to say as well. How the hell would the serpent know this? Listen to what I'm saying to y'all. For some reason, the serpent knew that your eyes would be open because once Adam and Eve ate, their eyes were exactly open, just like he said. So he wasn't lying. So what I believe is that the serpent ate from this tree of good and evil. This is what I believe. Because again, this serpent is speaking, is having a full on conversation with Eve. You get what I'm saying? He's having a full on conversation with them. So this means he had to be eating from that tree and it unlocked his consciousness or something to the point, maybe that's how he was able to speak and have these conversations. I don't know. That's just my theory. I'm just talking because how would he know this? Unless he was spending time with God in the garden or something and he was listening to the conversations God was having with the people he was around. Not to say people, but y'all know what I'm saying. Because I always would he know that. But I hope y'all enjoy this video. I got to get up out of here. I'm out.